Hmm. 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 चल ठीक है. A very warm welcome to everyone and welcome to the National International Webinar Series hashtag Modern Talk. And today we are going to have with us Dr. Srinivasan. He is the CEO AIC-LMCP Foundation, LM College of Pharmacy, Ahmedabad. Today's topic is post-COVID-19 startup opportunity in pharma sector. A very warm welcome to everyone and welcome to the National International Webinar Series, hashtag Modern Talk. And today we are going to have with us Dr. Shrinivas, who is the CEO of AIC-LMCP Foundation, LM College of Pharmacy, Ahmedabad. And we are going to discuss on the topic post-COVID startup opportunities in pharma sector. नमस्कार सर।
नमस्ते मैडम,
कैसे हैं सर?
बस बढ़िया। सुनाई दे रहा है ठीक से?
जी जी सर।
पुनीत जी कैसे हैं?
सर नमस्ते।
नमस्ते पुनीत जी, कैसे हो?
मैं बढ़िया हूँ, आप कैसे हैं?
बस बढ़िया। थैंक्स फॉर दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी।
Sir, it is our like you can say fortune to have you here. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I will take a minute to make it Facebook Live.
I'll just test screen sharing.
Yeah, I will just enable it, sir.
ठीक।
We are also live on Facebook. A very warm welcome to everyone and welcome to the National International Webinar Series, #Modern Talk. And today we have with us Dr. Shrinivas, who is the CEO, AIC-LMCP Foundation, LM College of Pharmacy, Ahmedabad. And we are going to discuss on the topic post-COVID-19 startup opportunities in pharma sector. We also have with us Dr. Puneet Kumar Dwivedi, Group Director, Modern Group of Institutions, Indore. Now, before moving further, I would like to give a brief introduction about our organization. And for that, I need to share the screen. I hope my screen is visible. Yeah. Modern Group of Institution is a leading group of premier institute in Indore affiliated to RGPV Bhopal, DAVB Indore and CBSE New Delhi. It is approved by AICT New Delhi, NCTE and PCI New Delhi. Modern Group is imparting quality education in the field of pharmacy management, commerce and education. We offer more than 8 courses in these fields, which includes B.Pharm, M.Pharm, B.Pharm, BBA, BCom, B.Ed and MBA. Modern Group encompasses 2 leading pharmaceutical industries, Modern Lab and Nandini Medical Laboratories Private Limited. Modern Laboratories was established in 1979 by late Shri P.C. Khariaji and Nandini Laboratories was established in 1998. Both gained prestigious acclamation in All India rating of pharma industries. We also have Modern International School established in 2013. We believe in innovation and entrepreneurship and hence we introduced MP's first Pharma Incubation Center, Modern Incubation Center in the year 2019 sponsored by MSME Government of India. Recently, we have received World Book Record UK and World Record Academy USA for making largest human image of medication capsule. We also have we are also recognizing participating institute of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan in association with IIT Delhi and MHRD Government of India. The institute also have Modern Innovation Council, which is an institute innovation cell by MHRD Innovation Cell. Recently, in the pandemic time, we have started this #Modern Talk webinar series in which we have almost completed 44 webinars in the row in the month of June and July. So, on behalf of entire Modern family, I would like to welcome you, sir. Now I request our group director.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to all, and this is an opportune time to welcome today's guest, Dr. Shrinivas ji, CEO AIC-LMCP Foundation of LM College of Pharmacy, Ahmedabad. And this incubator is supported by Atal Incubation Center. It is Atal Incubation Center by AM Niti Aayog. So we are very much fortunate to have you here, Dr. Shrinivas ji. And today we are going to listen from Shrinivas ji on the topic post-COVID-19 startup opportunities in pharma sector. This is a very specific sector, and we have seen in this pandemic time they have played very vital role, like healthcare. So, on behalf of our chairman, Shri Anil Khariaji, and vice chairman, Shri Shantanu Khariaji, I, Dr. Puneet Dwivedi, welcoming Honorable Dr. Shrinivas ji on behalf of Modern Group of Institutions in this Modern Talk, #Modern Talk National Webinar Series. Thank you, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation to join as one of our speakers. Thanks for joining us.
It's my privilege. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, before moving further, I would like to give a brief introduction about our guest. I hope my screen is visible. Dr. Shrinivas Savle is the CEO, AIC-LMCP Foundation, LM College of Pharmacy, Ahmedabad. Shrinivas ji have PhD and is the CEO of AIC-LMCP Foundation and Atal Incubation Center hosted by LM College of Pharmacy, Ahmedabad and supported by Niti Aayog, Government of India. He has been part of various startup and innovations related to initiative at LM College of Pharmacy, such as a member of committee and mentor for SSIP as well as Incubation Center representativeness of IIC. He was also an adjunct professor quality assurance. He was also associated with Torrent Pharmaceutical Limited as a General Manager, Bioevaluation, Clinigen International Limited as a Head Bioanalytic Researcher, and Torrent Research Center as a Scientist 2 at Medical Chemistry Division. He received PhD in Pharmaceutical Sciences from Gujarat University, Ahmedabad. Dr. Shrinivas is acknowledged leader with over 22 years of professional experience in drug research, development, and compliance in pharmaceutical organization, CRO setup, and academia. He has an expertise in the area of GXP compliance, including data integrity, gap analysis, and resolution for electronic data workflow and IT system in GXP environment. CRO vendor qualification, electronic solution deployment for automation of bioanalytical clinical laboratories workflow. He is regulated bioanalysis, biometrics, and early clinical development, including bioequivalent for small molecules and biosimilar biological, and has been supporting pharmaceutical organizations and CROs in these areas. He served as the screening chair, bioanalytics, chemical entity, abstract screening committee, AAPS, Pharma Science 360-degree, AAPS 2018. He was a member of clinical PKPD subcommittees of biosimilar focus group, AAPS, and also served on its steering committee. He was also founding chairperson regulated bioanalysis APA India and an active member of organizing committee for regulating bioanalysis. Dr. Savle served as a member of steering committee for Global Bioanalysis Consortium on harmonization of bioanalytic guidance representing Asia Pacific region. He has been a reviewer of various national and international scientific journals, invited as a speaker at various national and international conferences, and has 21 publications, a book chapter, and many scientific presentations to his credit. On behalf of entire Modern family, I am feeling honored to welcome you, sir, on this national international webinar series, #Modern Talk. So we welcome you, sir. And now I would like to start your introductory talk on the topic, which is opportunity of post-COVID-19 startup opportunities in pharmaceutical sector.
Thank you very much. Can I share my, so
You may share now.
sure. Yeah, so at the outset, I really thank Modern Institute's group of, Modern Institutes of Indore for giving me opportunity to be part of one of their webinar series that's going on, and share some insights about the topic, which is very, very kind of current and which is close to our heart, because as Madam mentioned, I am leading the incubation center, that is AIC-LMCP Foundation, which actually helps startups to realize their dreams of converting their innovative ideas into scalable and sustainable businesses, and thus they solve the problem statements in the community. So since I understand that the audience is mixed audience, I would like to first, like when I'm talking about post-COVID-19 startup opportunities in pharma sector, just to give background as to what the pharma sector comprises of. So if we talk about a pharmaceutical value chain, it actually involves the entire process, right from discovering a drug to marketing the drug and making it reach to the patients. So as you see here, I'll just try to use point. So it starts with drug discovery, where you are discovering a new chemical or biological entity as having drug-like properties for a specific element. And during those thousands of compounds which you think that they will work as drug, you actually kill most of them which are not having those properties, and very few candidates then become eligible to go for the preclinical screening, and where you establish the safety of those drugs in the preclinical species, and those uh, selected candidates then go for the further development. That is, these preclinically safe molecules, then they go for clinical evaluation. That's during the drug development phase. So when you come to drug development phase, it undergoes clinical testing right from basically to establish safety and efficacy in the patient population, the targeted patient population. And once you prove that, the drug gets marketing authorization by the regulatory agencies. And that's where you start manufacturing this drug either as the active pharmaceutical ingredient or the formulation in the commercial scale. And that then you establish its quality attributes, and these quality formulations then are distributed throughout the distribution channels like wholesalers, the stockists, the retail pharmacies and hospitals. And while they are into the distribution channel, you need to ensure that the drug remains safe and effective till its expiry, and when it is consumed by the patient, it provides the desired effects. And during the process, when as a profession, you keep selling and marketing about these products, telling about its advantages to the patients, whether it is in terms of the effectiveness, ease of administration, the benefits that it is providing in terms of cost benefits, so on and so forth. So this entire gamut becomes the pharmaceutical value chain. And as most of us know now, pharma being part of the larger healthcare system has many interfaces, which is not restricting to this particular workflow, but there are many elements which are part of this entire healthcare system. So before pandemic, as most of us we know that for the last 6 months we have been stuck with this COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, on a lighter note, we are also stuck with something called a webinar pandemic. So this is one of those uh, sessions I'm taking. But coming to the serious note, we have seen that for the last 5 years, majority of the major pharmas were facing a problem of falling their margins. Their profits have been reducing. The return on investments have been declining for most of the major pharmas. But there has been one set of emerging biopharma companies who have been discovering novel biopharma modalities and commercializing their assets for their commercial benefits. And many of the specialty products or the new modes of administrations and modalities of treatment, they have been dominating for last few years, especially in the developed markets. And if you look from the generic market, 50% of the market now, the developed countries was showing signs to accept generic as well as biosimilar drugs, which are similar biological products having similar efficacy and safety. But then this COVID-19 struck, right? So January 11th, when it actually had those alarming 41 confirmed cases to start with, and today we see that 1.4 crore confirmed cases are there in the world, and there have been 6 lakh deaths. These are the WHO numbers collected yesterday, and every day we are seeing that there is a trend of increase in the confirmed cases, though the death rate looks to be more or less similar for last couple of months. So what this pandemic has thrown is, it has thrown huge pressure on economics across the globe, as well as healthcare system, as well as citizens. So patient flow has got disrupted because this being a contagious disease, There has been now different social distancing norms are coming. The lockdowns have impacted these flows. The supply chain has been badly affected, and that has become uncertain because of disruption in the logistics. So the communications also have gone virtual. Most of the clinical development programs got halted, and the launches of new drugs have actually gone to the historic low levels. This pandemic also saw that some of the generics are getting benefited just because they had more stable prices as well as more stable volume growth. And those businesses have lesser impact of pandemic. So beyond that, there have been a lot of socio-economic impact, though this figure shows about the situation in US where government has to pump in a lot of money for taking care, supporting the citizens, preserving the jobs and helping the businesses. There have been large number of unemployment cases seen. And the situation is more or less same across the globe. And there have been problem of unemployment and the economic burden coming on the government. So the priorities have shifted now to create more hospital spaces and to have agile and very fast turnaround times for the solutions for this epidemic. We see that there have been rapid regulatory changes, those are happening across the globe. And till you have actual treatment for this disease, we see that one has to be prepared for the next wave of this pandemic. So there have been a lot of such socio-economic impacts. Now, you also would agree that the engagements, the volume of engagements have reduced. The face-to-face meetings have reduced. Even now that impacts everything. It impacts patient, healthcare provider engagements, or even the pharma company and the physicians engagement, the marketing efforts, so on and so forth. So if you look here, the face-to-face meetings, like in 2019 versus 2020 for different countries has been given here. And just to take as an example, so if you look at US, the direct digital marketing has increased significantly. So it has been seen that these face-to-face engagements have reduced. This has impact from the marketing point of view in the sector. Further, the doctor-to-patient communication has collapsed. And that's where telehealth actually and telemedicine is coming in picture. So if you look at some of the sectors here, now these are different therapeutic categories in which the impact has been seen. So if you look some of these chronic ailments like segments like psychiatry, rheumatology, endocrinology, so you see that there has been a drastic improvement in the telemedicine as compared to the face-to-face engagements with the doctors. Further, because of this disruption, we have many backlogs being piled up now. So this is in terms of since the focus has shifted to the infectious diseases, especially the COVID-19 treatments, most of the other patients were not attended timely. They didn't get their necessary medications and their conditions might have worsened. Clinical trials have been really got a big hit because since entire medical fraternity's focus, the healthcare providers' focus has shifted to the catering to the COVID. So other diseases, other events were kind of given the lesser priority. Many of the lab tests could not be performed on time because, again, the access, the patients were also not willing, or the advisories also were such that unless and until it is emergency, you should not go for the checkups and getting the lab tests done. And at the same time, many of the pharma companies, the launches either were postponed or they were laid down. Otherwise, that is one of the major events for any pharma when they are really bringing the product to the market. So it is going to be a major challenge to actually overcome these backlogs and get into the normalcy. Now, whatever points I'm discussing, these are to be taken as problem statements. When we talk about a startup, so we are looking for a specific problem statement to be addressed and bring a business solution, bring a solution which has a business potential. So the biggest impact was seen on the global supply chains. And if you look at the generic manufacturing facilities across the globe, here 48% of these facilities are located in India and China, while when it comes to the finished products, 32% of these facilities are in India and China. So these two countries play a very significant role in supply of active pharmaceutical ingredients as well as finished products. So India tentatively emerged from this lockdown because the pharma sector was considered to be essential services and the manufacturing was continued. Though there was a reduction in the employees that can work in a shift, and the export restrictions were imposed at early March. Once those restrictions were lifted, pharma companies got a good advantage of exporting their medications to the globe. So, and most of the countries, because of their over dependence on China, they started China plus one policy, and that's where we got a good push for the increased domestic raw materials and API production. So if you look at the entire supply chain in the pharma sector, it has been, COVID has disrupted it badly. So all the assumptions or plannings for APIs or KSMs has gone for toss when it comes to kind of manufacturing planning or production planning. And when you talk about the active pharmaceutical ingredients, it was very difficult to look for alternative suppliers for API for most of the pharma companies in the absence of the routine supplier being impacted by the COVID, that particular zone. And since the logistics was really gone for toss, that's where supply and smooth movement of API and formulations was really a challenge. So there was a tendency to stockpile the raw materials to make the proposed finished doses. And then when it is packed, the logistics again was very crucial because most of the commercial airlines were impacted, their businesses were impacted, and that's where even the movement of finished goods and APIs was hampered. And that but natural had impact on reaching those medicines to the wholesalers, and that's where people started thinking about alternate ways of having these medicines, or wholesalers started thinking of stockpiling some of the key medicines from the business point of view. And then at the pharmacy, the more emphasis started looking at the electronic workflows. So e-pharmacy kind of workflows have started picking up, where the patient need not go to the pharmacy to pick the medicine and the patients are delivered. So this is what entire cycle of supply chain was badly impacted by this COVID-19. And also when we look at some of the treatment categories, there has been a severe impact as we see that some of the treatments were experimentally used for COVID treatment, such as hydroxychloroquine. Now remdesivir and Acterma are being commonly used, but we know that there is a shortage of these medications. So in fact, last week there was a counterfeit spurious Acterma. That racket was busted in Gujarat. So people are taking undue advantage and having foul practices in when there is a shortage of some of these life-saving medicines. So there is the impact, and of course, like the people who were manufacturing hydroxychloroquine got a good boost because suddenly US wanted supplies of this drug. When it comes to hospitals, again, the emergency medicines or the ICU medicines were in short supply. So there has to be a sudden stimulus for such medications to cater to the patient's requirement and their health. So especially if you look at analgesics, antivirals, the flu and pneumococcal vaccines, those were the ones which were in actually demand at hospitals. So the concern also came with the chronic ailments where elderly patients need to be kind of home quarantined, and they also found that there is short supply of their routine medication that they need to take. And when it comes to clinical trials landscape, you can see from this particular graph that not a single country is left. Everywhere there was impact. Since the clinical research professionals were not allowed to visit the sites, and the trials were put on the second priority, as everywhere COVID was the first priority. But now there are signs of revival, and slowly some of the sites have started giving access to the clinical research associates. But if you look at here, more than 50% of the sites have actually thinking of getting into remote monitoring visits. So the clinical research associates will not visit personally, but whatever is happening at the site can be remotely monitored. So there have been improvement in the technology. There have been many such tools being developed so that the clinical research continues without the research associates visiting the actual sites. Now, when it comes to launch of the product, the marketing is the next to the launch. So there have been many delays because of the COVID. So as you see here, older population trials were halted. Rare diseases were actually not given due attention because the focus had totally shifted. And the launches had to be either the digital launches or they had to be deferred. So as the launches deferred, those treatments were not made available to the patients due to the pandemic. And there has been an impact on the infusion products as well, where otherwise in outpatient centers, you can have those infusions, but then from the safety point of view and due to social distancing, that was not actually, that also got impacted. So with this all challenges that pandemic threw, that's where the opportunities came. So all these problem statements need to be addressed with a solution which can be scalable, and because this is not a local problem of one particular area, it's a global problem. Now we see that there are small signs of recovery, and the generic medicines are actually driving the change. We also see that lockdowns are being lifted, but there is no consistency. Most of the times, regional and local differences are seen in lifting these lockdowns, which again interrupts the you can say supply chain. Then patients have started re-engaging with their doctors or physicians, but they still have some reluctance to go to the hospital or to the physician. Face-to-face activities have started slowly resuming, like with all the protective gears in place and maintaining the social distancing. People have started looking at it. So we see that there is a slow recovery. Now the priority of most of the companies would be to clear the backlog and have some pragmatic planning, keeping in the mind how the situation has been changed pre-pandemic to going through the pandemic. So customer engagement is now going to go in a different level, as we also know that most of the pharma companies, the people who were working from the offices, they're working from home, and most of the interactions with the customers are happening virtually or electronic means. So post-COVID, what we see is for the at least till 2022, by the time the new normal sets in, we need to be prepared ourselves for a probable second wave, where till the time you have a vaccine or effective treatment that is being uh, kind of launched for this particular COVID-19. And due to that, we will continue having social distancing as a protective measure till probably mid 2021. And when the vaccine is ready for deployment or rollout by mid or late 2021, then I think the things will start looking a little normal, and we will get into something called as new normal, where we have understood the issues of this pandemic, and we will have lot many preventive approaches and tactical and strategic planning with pragmatic approach. uh, the pharma sector will start uh, looking into. Meanwhile, there will be certain other treatment modalities, those will be picking their uh, kind of share in the therapeutic segment. So post-COVID, typically the drivers for the future growth would be, of course, the focus would be on aging population and urbanization. So you'll have a lot of awareness as far as drug treatment is concerned. And the healthcare infrastructure is going to improve significantly, because that is something the lockdowns were enforced to prepare ourselves with the healthcare infrastructure. So there will be improved access to healthcare, and of course, a lot of innovation and new launches would happen, not only for those chronic ailments, but even also keeping in mind now those infectious diseases. So as otherwise the focus was earlier on cancer, the cardiovascular drugs, the psychiatric drugs, people will also have uh, enough impetus on the infectious diseases. But then the COVID-19 repercussions are going to linger for some time. And as we know that most of the pharma companies, uh, uh, especially in India, we know that most of the global regulatory authorities were watching us with respect to the quality of the products that we make, be it API or finished drugs. And that is reducing because of again, now agencies are also thinking to look from remotely. So there have been guidelines coming up for remote audits or desktop audits, and compliance to the regulations in this changing. I mean, this is very dynamic now. The regulatory requirements are changing every day, and compliance to these regulations is going to be a challenge. And we also see that post-COVID telehealth is rising. Actually, that is helping to reduce the infection risk to the patients as well as the healthcare professionals. And also it gives us opportunity for getting cross-border experience as well as second opinions. And this will also help, telehealth will help, health will help for online training events as well as communities as far as the marketing, sales promotions, and even the clinical trial uh, training programs are concerned that will come in place. But then we need to be prepared with the infrastructure. So the system scalability needs to be ensured, as well as the cost involved for bringing telehealth platforms need to be kept in mind. And further, most of the medical devices which are digitally equipped need to be integrated when you are talking about the therapy. So we also see that post-COVID, there will be a kind of a hybrid engagement. There will be face-to-face as well as a kind of a tele uh, tele engagement of patients and the doctors. So because now when we see the pandemic uh, easing to some extent, And as we see by 2022, if we really get to the new normal, then we'll have probably we will try to have face-to-face interaction only when it is needed. So in the new normal, the supply chain becomes a strategic focus, and the pharma sector will face higher costs and pressures for net sales if they don't change, because the healthcare systems, ultimately the cost healthcare system cost to a patient has one of the major component is the pharma component. But pharma has actually provided big support to the healthcare system, so that will help actually to build a good relation between the pharma sector and the healthcare sector. So if we recover from this pandemic quickly, as Europe is going through recovery phase, I think those are would be the good signs to move forward. Just I'm giving one example how the countries are changing their strategies, pharma strategies. So if you look at the European Union, so now their emphasis is to improve the access and availability of drugs to the patients. And of course, it has to be affordable, both to the patient as well as health systems. And that's where the emphasis is also given on innovation, and that too for the unmet needs. So this will actually get kind of a push with the digital technology and emerging sciences. But further, it is seen that like if you look at the innovation focus of Europe, so when they actually get those innovation or the research funded by the EU countries, most of the times those are commercially exploited by the non-EU stakeholders. So what EU is also trying to look at is to build competitiveness on a global level and reduce the dependence on manufacturing in non-EU countries, which is something similar. We are also trying to reduce our dependency for APIs on China. So further, as we see that manufacturing supply chains are actually at crossroads. So it is like there is a thin line between local versus global. So as our country also has started talking about being vocal about local, having things locally manufactured, so that you don't need to depend on other countries, so you are self-sufficient. So local manufacturing has its own advantages, like it has shorter supply chains, which you can have better control. The pricing can be stable, and you can have high quality material that is being produced. But then this has a smaller customer base, and when you talk about global manufacturing, the costs now post COVID are going to be higher if you want to have global manufacturing, and you have to reactivate the already existing global manufacturing units and supply chains. Otherwise, that will add to the cost of holding. So as we have seen that Indian and Chinese players have been pressured to improve the quality and resilience to protect business interests. So this is one area which I was talking in terms of the regulatory inspections that are being happening to ensure we give quality products to the globe. So we can see that the manufacturing focus also will change. Some of the manufacturers would like to focus on high risk therapeutic agents like ICU medicines. Then some of the medicines may find shortages, and that will actually hike the prices. And there is a need for rapidly ramping some of the production facilities, especially for the COVID treatments as we get. So the sector, as we see, has a health system burden as well as a society's burden to take care of. So the pharma sector has to support the health system as the first principle. So they will have to ease the burden by eliminating inefficiencies in the entire process, and also create effective and decisive support systems for the healthcare system. So now this is what I just wanted to kind of throw light on what was pre-COVID and what impact or what problems this COVID has thrown to us. Now, I'm sure that most of the sharp minds would have picked the pain points in the post-COVID scenario in pharma sector. So when you looked at the value chain, all the components of the value chain have been seriously impacted. Now, I'm not sure how many of the audience is really familiar with the startups and all. So I'll just now switch gears and throw some light on when I have some innovative idea in the sector, can I become a startup? Can I take these problem statements and build a business around it? So just a basic slide to understand what is a startup. So when I say that post-COVID-19 startup opportunities, so if I have to look at such opportunity, and if I have to be a startup, I have to have an innovative idea, and that innovation can have disruptive capability. And this innovation is actually you are adding value or improving the existing products, processes, or services. When you talk about pharma sector, it covers all the three. It has products, processes, as well as services. And this particular business idea, innovative thought, has to be scalable. Then only it can become a startup. And it has to be beyond a solo founder. So you should have, this idea should have potential to generate employment as well as wealth. So you are, by solving a specific problem, you are actually generating employment, you become job giver, as well as create economic value out of it. But if you want to go by the DPIIT's definition, a startup is an entity with turnover less than 100 crores in a single year, and that entity can be, it should be private limited or LLP or registered partnership firm, and which is 10 years or younger. Now, the moment I talk about innovation in pharma sector, it is highly controlled by patents. So most of the intellectual property gets protected through the patents. And if you look here, so 2000 to 2018, the number of patents in pharmaceutical sector have been growing consistently. And same is for biotechnology as well as medical technology. So this is an indication of improved innovation ecosystem in a country. And if you look at this Global Innovation Index, India stood at 52nd position in 2019, which was otherwise 57th in 2018. So overall, the Indian ecosystem of innovation has really improved a lot, scaling five positions up in the index. So now, since we have kind of innovation culture setting in our country, most of us can pick innovative idea and convert it into a startup. And the typical phases for a startup to move from the innovative business idea to business. So you start by creating your startup. You get your innovation assessed by the experts, build the business plan, and then to execute this business plan, you get incubation support. And once you are supported for your different needs and making your path for commercialization, that's where the post-incubation activities such as getting scaling up the technology, commercializing it, or developing the business for your startup, that actually starts. So as I was telling you about startups and incubation, I'll also give you example of our own incubation center. So AIC-LMCP Foundation is an Atal Incubation Center, which is hosted by LM College of Pharmacy and supported by Atal Innovation Mission, NITI Aayog, Government of India. Now, this incubation center is sector specific, and we focus on the pharmaceutical and healthcare sector. So the main objective here is to provide platform to the stakeholders. So the innovative thought bearers like students, researchers, early entrepreneurs or startups to translate their innovative idea into successful business proposals. So we are fostering entrepreneurship in this field of pharmaceuticals and healthcare. So basically, the objectives are revolving around kind of the innovative idea to be converted into sustainable business. And in the process, we are also supporting some of the micro, small, and medium scale enterprises because they also need a lot of support in terms of technology, in terms of scale up, and so on and so forth, so that they can grow to the next level of their business. We are also supporting women entrepreneurs and some of the initiatives of MSME. We are supporting them to scale up. Now, when you look at the key focus areas, now when I'm saying the key focus area, these are some of the areas where there are startup opportunities. They still persist, be it COVID or no COVID. So novel drug delivery systems and technologies, novel APIs, excipients, phytopharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals. We have tailor-made equipments or technologies or packaging solutions. Now, if you look post-COVID, most of the packaging aspects have changed. So you also look at the focus on certain APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients, has been changing. Now we are looking at cost-effective solutions for the problem statements that I already listed down. So especially when you look out at this particular sector of pharma and healthcare, novel testing tools, medical devices, diagnostics have taken a first place these days. So you also can work around healthcare tools and solutions, be it medicines or patient care. So as you see that during COVID, now that has become a norm to have protective gears. And there may be some other hospital-based solutions that one can think of. You can also look at some of the contract research services that become a novel business model, such as safety efficacy evaluation and so on and so forth. But it doesn't limit to the mainstream therapy, that is allopathy, but we also have related sectors like Ayurveda, homeopathy, Siddha, Unani, paramedical sciences, food and nutrition, and so on and so forth. So to support this translation of idea to commercialization, we are providing domain expertise, mentoring, and also facilitation for funding to grow the idea to the next level. Support in terms of legal, IP, business strategy, regulatory, because as we know, pharma and healthcare sector is highly regulated, and having right understanding of regulations is the key for making a business in this particular sector. And also procurement and supply chain, so which is become a very crucial aspect post-pandemic. And then we have collaboration with different R&D centers, hospitals, and so on and so forth. So we also support by connecting to rich pool of mentors with diverse specializations, as well as networking for marketing and reach out to the healthcare entrepreneurs across the globe. That is something which is essential for the early starter in this particular sector. So since the sector also focuses on product development, so we have state-of-the-art facility developed where they can do product development and testing. And till date, we are supporting 16 such budding innovative entrepreneurs So who are working and addressing different areas of problem statements. I'll just give a couple of examples. This particular startup is working on in the supply chain, is trying to uh, look at real-time availability of drug in a particular formulation. At any given point in time, before consumption, the patient will know how much drug this particular formulation has. Rises analytics is actually predicting the spread of pandemic, COVID-19, and it also gives the progression of the disease and the effectiveness of therapy. So there are different ways, like recently joined in our family is Repligen, that is working on gene therapy and cell therapy. So there are various areas which we can actually exploit. And the main thing which is to our advantage is the huge population that we have and the improvement in the life expectancy over the years. So that's what is pushing the pharma and healthcare research. So if you look here on this particular slide, we're also in the top 20 global medical device markets, and which is fourth largest in Asia. So when it comes to pharma sector, as I said, there are a lot of interfaces. So you talk about allied sectors, you talk about medical devices, you talk about diagnostics. So you have novel drug delivery systems. So everything encompasses as the wider portion of the healthcare system. So even the Ayushman Bharat initiative, which talks about the insurance support, but when it comes to that, that entire healthcare support to a patient has a big chunk of the pharmaceutical products as well. So as I already mentioned, telemedicine is also fastly growing in India. So one has many options to work either in the digital area or in the product or process or service area. Government has also taken a lot of initiatives to streamline and facilitate the progress of the companies. So as you see here, there are pricing reforms, and there are like uh, expeditious adoption of GMP regulations. Then you have Sugam portal for online application to get approvals from the regulatory agencies. Then government is incentivizing the medical device manufacturing in India. Standards and certifications are getting fast deployment. As you see, the latest one also, ICMR and Department of Health Research has come up with guidance for evaluation of novel applications for COVID-19. And if you look here, so here you have specific guidelines for investigational products, technologies, drugs, Ayush regimens, and devices. So the thrust is very clear as far as COVID-19 is concerned. There is a lot of need for repurposing of drugs, synthetic molecules, look at the new molecules, those may be chemical, biological, nanoparticles, the plant extracts, the herbal formulations, Ayurveda-based formulations, Siddha-based formulations, homeopathy-based formulations. So any modality of treatment that is helping to either treat or prevent COVID-19 symptoms, that is where the government is putting emphasis on. So anybody having ideas in this area, I think they'll get fast track approvals, and government has made a lot of provisions for that. So those who are interested can look at the WHO's page where it talks about the advice for public. Now, this you can use as a problem statement. So for example, you have to maintain social distance. You have to kind of, if you are quarantining elder person in home or the home care or special care areas, what are their pain points and how those can be alleviated. So this particular page, one can take cues as to what are the pain points for the public in general and how one can take that as an innovative thought or innovative idea for making a business. But the evergreen challenges what we have in the sector are, as I said about the USFDA inspections, now because we are one of the largest suppliers to the globe in terms of active pharmaceutical ingredients and finished drugs, the regulators want to ensure that we produce quality and safe medicines with reliable data. Now, these three words have a lot of opportunities to come up with novel solutions. When you talk about generating reliable data, many electronic tools can be built to ensure robustness of this data which the pharma manufacturing companies are generating. You talk about government is bringing actually price control, right? So what it drives is that your innovation should be such that you have efficient and cost-effective value chain in the pharma sector. You also encounter fake products, counterfeit or spurious drugs, and there is a lot of opportunity to have solutions around identifying and tracking these fake medications, which will be a big help to the drug regulatory agency. Then we also look at the new thing that has been emphasized by government is in terms of dependence on China for APIs. So when you talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat or Make in India, the government is giving impetus on making APIs. So they have proposed starting the API parks, especially for this scenario. So there have been a lot of opportunities. Those are coming up for the young generation to take up as business options. Future trends. I'm not sure how much time I have, but I'll take 5 more minutes. Is that okay?
Sure, sir.
Okay. So the future trends in the sector now, pharma and healthcare, I mean, they're going hand in hand. So a lot of information tools people are talking about that the medicine will be digitized, the smart pills with ingestible sensors or smart patches, which will help to monitor the health of the patient, and accordingly you can deliver the medicines which are effective to the patient. Of course, mobile apps, there are many mobile apps, but like such apps are required which will enable the pharma companies to assist the patients in managing their conditions. So that's where coaching of healthy behavior comes in place. Many cloud-based solutions or databases are required for the pharma companies to accelerate their discovery and research. So one has to have, there is a lot of scope to build such repositories, patient repositories. Of course, the laws are also being developed in terms of sharing the data and confidentiality. AI is a buzzword now. Everywhere AI has shown a very, vital promise. So be it in terms of improving the process efficiencies, be it improving the healthcare outcomes, be it improving the product characteristics or product life cycle, everywhere AI is playing a big role, and so is the big data analytics. So most of the pharma companies would like to digitize all the data that they have. So it saves a lot of time and efforts for them for collating, identifying, retrieving the data in the entire process or the drug life cycle. So, and the data can be from various sources like physician, enterprises, claims, prevention and intervention, and so on and so forth. Another big area of future trends is about integrated devices. Now, you may wonder why I'm talking this in pharma sector. So, as I said, the thin line between pharma and healthcare is actually diminishing. You talk about medical devices. Those devices are either to deliver or to monitor health, or sometimes those intelligent devices, they monitor and deliver the medication accordingly. So one has to be very familiar with this new trend of IoT enabled wearable technologies that will help. And also people are talking about body sensors, which are implantable, invisible, or body area networks, which will help to have kind of a personalized treatment based on the health parameters of a particular subject or the patient. Of course, virtual medicine is people are talking about augmented reality people want to use for education and also kind of training tool in the sector. So if you talk about the big pharma, the innovation would be morely in terms of, as I shown, lot of technological adaptation is seen in the near future. And the pharma innovation must translate into commercial viable products. Otherwise, if there is no kind of balance in the cost of therapy and the innovation, then that innovation may be of no use. So these are other areas which I can highlight here. The trend is now towards uh, you look at the stem cell therapies, nanotechnologies, a lot of biologics are making waves. So these all are the areas where there is opportunity to have innovative businesses start. Then you look at here, new generation vaccines and immunotherapy. I think this pandemic has really told us what is the importance of vaccine. So it's not only for the infectious diseases, even people are talking about for the chronic diseases, the vaccines. Pain management and mental health are again emerging areas. As you know that this lockdown has put a lot many people in the kind of a shock. So there is a need to support them mentally. Then medical devices, you have diagnostics, precision medicine, regenerative medicine is something picking up. So we also look at the innovations as far as processes are concerned. So not only the product, the therapy, but also the processes. People are looking at new ways of delivering healthcare. So even the OECD has given emphasis on some of these areas where I already mentioned in terms of open science is something which people are looking at for efficient uh, pharmaceutical research, digital technologies. Even there have been public-private partnerships happening. Patient groups are also helping a lot going forward. So if someone can have solutions built around each of these statements, that will help. So to summarize how this pandemic has impacted, what opportunities it has thrown for a startup. So if you look at the entire pharmaceutical value chain is impacted. There's not a single aspect which has not have any impact because of the pandemic. So there is kind of this is a good chance for people who have lived, who have seen the disruption because of this pandemic to exploit those pain points from this experience and build solutions around them. So with this, I'll come to the last slide that I would like to show. So this is just again an imaginary thing you can say. This is like mega trends and technologies till 2050. So I'll try to enlarge this and let us look at health. So there are actually 13 different segments where, so it is
So it is not visible.
foresighted to see how the health sector is going to grow. And
You
if you
have to
look at
minimize the
this,
PowerPoint for this.
okay, give me a second, I'll do that. It's okay now?
Not yet visible. Is it an image?
Yeah, it's an image.
So you have to minimize the PowerPoint also.
I did so. Can you see the image now?
Not yet. You have to, I think, close the PowerPoint.
Okay, what I'll do is just keeping the time in mind. Those who are interested can just click snap. There's there's a mind map by Richard Johnson from UK, which gives insight into what are the mega trends and technologies that will be till 2050. So you'll see that there is though this pandemic has thrown some of those areas to forefront, those have been already predicted in terms of the mental health, in terms of the digital medicine, you're also talking about the smart pills and so on and so forth. Those who are interested, this is available in open source. You can look at it. Sorry for this that I couldn't show you because of thing. But then just to conclude, maybe I would like to make a remark that the COVID-19 pandemic has really thrown a lot of opportunities to us, and in terms of problem statements which can become really successful businesses, as we see that recently most of the government agencies have put forth many challenges for handling this corona situation. And you will not believe, there have been thousands of startups. They have come up with novel solutions, and governments, different ministries have come together to support them to get fundings to translate into the deployment. So with this, if you have any innovative idea in pharma and healthcare, contact us for incubation support. We will help you there. So thank you very much for kind attention. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative session that you have given. It was really systematic learning of becoming an entrepreneur. So it was really wonderful. The comments in the chat box, you can see the compliments in the chat box, you can see that it was really very informative. And people are asking for the PowerPoint also, that if you can share. So it would be great. And we have some questions also, but the time is a bar. So I will mail you the questions,
Sure.
so that if you would like to answer. So I will definitely share it. So I think this session is like a lighthouse for the budding entrepreneurs, those who are looking for the way to reach out at the at the source. So I once again thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I thank on behalf of my chairman, Sri Anil Khariaji, Sri Shantanu Khariaji, Vice Chairman, and Group Director, Dr. Puneet Kumar Dwivedi. I, Arpita Patel, extend my heartfelt thanks to you, sir, for joining us and enlighten us with this wonderful session. I also thank all the participants, those who have joined us and those who are there throughout the session. And tomorrow also we have one more webinar with Divya Madam, who is the coordinator of Jwala Foundation. So please stay tuned to hashtag Modern Talk and enlighten yourself every day. Happy learning.
Thank you so much. It was a privilege to be part of this webinar. Thank you.
All the participants, I have pasted the feedback link in the chat box. So please uh, fill that feedback form. Also, you will get all the certificates. You will get the certificate on the same day. In case we have 2 webinars, you will get the certificates by evening. So stay with us, stay tuned to hashtag Modern Talk, and keep enlighten yourself. Thank you so much once again.